You know, I have either my large bowl or I have a massive bowl, and I always think the large bowl's fine. Then you're just really carefully going through and gingerly folding because it's gonna come out. This happens, it's the same thing when I make myself a salad for dinner. Pasta Primavera salad, meaning a pasta salad that is based on pasta primavera. If you don't know what that is, it is an American pasta dish, usually seasonal vegetables. We're gonna switch it up and have it be a cold, delicious pasta salad because who doesn't love pasta salad, especially as summer is approaching? Summer to me is grilling pasta salad. It's that beautiful mix of things that we love about the season, and that's exactly what we're using in front of me. So we have all the components we need. We have the pasta, we're using a penne, we have fresh radish, we have peas and spinach, in season, asparagus, basil, red onion, cheese. This is all coming together for a perfect salad. We're gonna start with cooking the pasta. Now, just like if I was gonna do anything else, I like it slightly more al dente because I want to have a little bit of that toothiness. So we have boiling water here. When you cook pasta, you have one chance to actually season the pasta itself, and that's when it's cooking, meaning you need to salt the water. And no, all this salt does not transfer into the pasta. I think it's always beneficial to remember 90% of our salt usually comes from outside sources from the home, the majority of it, because processed foods, those kinds of foods have it. Cooking at home will hardly have too much salt in our diet if we eat and cook only at home. So we're gonna add in the pasta, and I like to follow the package instructions for al dente, like I said. While that pasta is cooking, I just like to get everything ready. So like I said, this is seasonal vegetables. And this can change with the season if you want to, depending on what you have. Maybe you have a garden or a farmer's market CSA box, or just want to see what's kind of more in season and buy local. So what I have here is radish. I love radish. I love that they have that delicious crunch. There's a slight pepperiness. Honestly, usually with radish, when it starts getting hot and dry out, they'll get a little bit spicier. I am also going to be using fresh asparagus. I love asparagus. When I have tons coming in from the garden, and I keep it for like a month and a half, it kind of keeps growing. I keep it in a little bit of water, about an inch or two in the bottom of a jar or a glass, just because it keeps it fresh, keeps the ends from drying out, and it actually keeps growing in the fridge, believe it or not. And what I love about asparagus, especially when it's fresh, when it gets shipped a long ways, it can start drying out. When it's fresh, it is delicious raw too. We're gonna actually cook this a little bit, so I wanna cut it on a diagonal, just more for, I don't know, it makes you look fancy when you cut things on a diagonal probably. And so we're gonna do about inch pieces. Just think of it as a bite-sized piece. So what you feel comfortable with eating, that's about the size we're gonna be doing. And it's so tender this time of year. Honestly, if you don't eat raw, I say you should try it. It's sweet, has that nice crisp tenderness, but we're gonna cook it just a little bit at the end. And then some red onion, that's really gonna round out our vegetables. We're at al dente. You just check that by, I like to check it by actually taking a bite of some pasta. But what we're gonna do is put it right now. I'm just draining it, you'll notice, with a spider. So if there's a little bit left of water, that's okay, a small amount, I don't mind. I'm not draining the water because we're gonna use it. So this is kind of, it's already salted, so it's already seasoned. So it's the perfect thing to be able to blanch or semi-blanch something in. Blanching usually is when you ice bath something after cooking it quickly to shock it. We're not gonna do that, but we are gonna just slightly cook the asparagus just to take a little bit of the crispness off. I think sometimes when you're eating a pasta salad, you don't want anything that's too jarring texture-wise. You want it to somewhat kind of feel like the textures meld together well. So I'm taking the pasta out, and we're gonna just put in this asparagus right here. And you know, the best part about this, that only needs about a minute. So I'm gonna let that go. And while that's happening, I'm gonna take this pasta and just drizzle a little bit of olive oil. This is going to, well, one, season the pasta a little bit more with some flavor. It also keeps it from sticking together. And while in certain sauces, we don't wanna do that because we want the sauce to cling to it in certain pastas, in this, I don't want it to clump up. We don't want that at all. So I'm just tossing it with that. I'm gonna let that cool off here for a minute, and then I'll take the asparagus off. Honestly, 1 or 2 minutes. I like it a little bit less. I like it to be crisp tender. If you think, oh, I don't know, I want it to be a little bit more cooked, cook it longer. You know, that's the beauty of a recipe at home. You can do what you want. So I'm putting this right in here. We're gonna let this cool off a little bit with the pasta. Set it aside as they're cooling. We can talk about the sauce here. So the sauce is pretty simple. Somewhat similar to certain other pasta sauces, which I like. I think it kind of is like bringing together a few things that really work well. But to start, I want some chopped up garlic. And you know I love garlic. I grow my own garlic. I love to talk garlic anytime you want to. If you don't like garlic, leave it out. That's a sad life. Let's be honest. It's sad and it has good flavor. So what I'm doing is taking it out of the peel. Sometimes when I like to chop them, I like to give them a slight smash, just with the side of my knife. What that does is it kind of gives them, see, a level surface to be able to chop on, giving it a nice fine chop. And then we're gonna keep going through until we get a nice mince. So I usually go through one way, take my knife, never be nervous. Just go slow if you need to, and go through until you have a nice chop. And then what I will usually do, and this works to me better if you have a larger knife like this, I like to keep going through until it gets fine, or I'll even take my other hand out and I'll just go back and forth to make it more fine. Working in the kitchen, it's 90% confidence. The rest just kind of comes. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take the garlic here. We're gonna put it right into our bowl. So this is what we're making the whole dressing in. It's a pretty simple dressing, but I do think when I was making this recipe, I kept thinking this just isn't right. It didn't have enough oomph to it. And pasta salads usually have a little bit of that creaminess. So what I'm doing is starting with some mayonnaise. Now I'm not overdoing it. I'm not doing a ton of mayonnaise like some pasta salads would, but enough to dress the noodles, because you need something with a little bit of, really what it is fat, and fat is flavor. And in this case, it's gonna really work well with everything we're doing. We're gonna do some lemon juice, and again, I'm using fresh lemon juice. We're gonna squeeze it in, make sure to take out the seeds. That's why I'm gonna use my hand here. You can use a colander too, but this is in my kitchen, so it's gonna be my hand. That's what I like to do. But the thing is, see how I have a couple seeds? That's why we're doing that. Otherwise, you have to go fish them out and you don't wanna do that. A little bit of olive oil. Again, that's the richness. It's also for the flavor. So we're gonna put it right in there. And then of course we need salt and pepper. I'm gonna crack in some pepper. And I know pepper sometimes seems redundant, but fresh cracked pepper really does add kind of an elevate something. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, and we can always add more to taste. This doesn't necessarily need a lot of salt, but it definitely needs some because we did season along the way. And that's key when you're cooking. Season along the way, and in the end, it's always gonna take a little bit less. Then I'm gonna grate in some fresh Parmesan cheese. We're not talking about the dried stuff in a container. I know some of us love it, and that's fine. That's not what this is for here. We are using fresh because it's gonna have that great aged flavor. It's always hard to stop grating cheese, right? You never wanna stop. It's like when they ask you at a restaurant, you're like, I'm not gonna say stop. You're gonna have to actually walk away from me. So now we're going to just whisk this together. This is our dressing. This is kind of that, at first you think it seems odd, but it has Caesar components to it a little bit too. No anchovy, so don't get too worried, but look at that. Delicious, slightly creamy. It works actually really well together. And now what we can do is really think about putting everything else together. So we have our bowl of pasta, slightly cooled off. We have our asparagus, still retaining their beautiful color, but a little bit of that bite taken off of the freshness. We have some beautifully fresh sliced radish. I love radish. So you can tell this is very much of a spring Primavera here, but that's the beauty of it. We have sliced red onion. You go small pieces. I kind of like it to be big. I like people to see what they're eating. Of course, peas, which I use frozen peas, just sweet peas, English peas, let them thaw fully. I like not having to cook them more. I think they taste fresh. They have that sweetness. I don't want them to get that dull color. That'd be ugly. And then spinach that I did take any stems off of. I don't think that texture is right in here. What we're gonna do now is just pour this dressing right on here. So anytime you have pasta salads, you know the components. Lots of times it's creamy. Sometimes there's different, cheeses. Sometimes it just depends if it's elbow macaroni or if it's a spiral. This is really a great way to me to have a little bit more vegetable forward one, which to me can be nice. You're having the grill out, you're having a lot of heavy things. Having something that has a little bit of green, there's no problem too. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna stir this together and really just make sure everything's incorporated. This is pretty much it. Isn't this beautiful? Now, I would say always at this time, it's best, like any pasta salad, to let it chill till it's fully chilled. I don't have that kind of patience with you guys. So since you're family at this point, we're just gonna try it right now. But I do wanna put it into my serving dish and just finish it up with a couple things. First, look how beautiful this is. You get colors, you get springtime, you get even summer. So sometimes pasta salads have a bad rap, right? Because maybe they're not the best for us. Sometimes this one has a lot of stuff in it and I think it can be really good. I like to at the end take some basil, fresh basil leaves, and just kind of tear a few on top. I think there's something about that fresh flavor of the basil that just really finishes it off. Maybe it's a little bit more of a traditional Primavera. And while this is not traditional because it's a salad, I do think there's something nice about it. So I'm just gonna put a little bit on top. And then I like to, anytime something has parm, if I take a peeler, I like to just peel shards of that parm into this or on top. Because look at that nice, who doesn't want, who does not want a shard of parm with whatever they're eating? Again, back to that restaurant guy, bring him back, put all the parm on. But look at that. It's beautiful. It's a great presentation. Let it chill overnight even, few hours at least, I would say. But then you can just serve it up. And this really, honestly, look at it. It can be a nice meal. Put some grilled chicken with it. That's a great lunch. You can do so many things with this because it has so many options with everything that's in it. That's what I love about it. It's delicious, it's beautiful. Put that back together, look at that. So now we're gonna take a nice bite. I wanna get some radish, get a piece of pasta there, which I might overload the radish. I think I got some on my face. It is so good. What I love are the elements. The radish has the crispness. The peas are tender because they're sweet peas, even though they weren't cooked. The asparagus right here, perfect. It's not soggy. You don't want soggy or mushy. Has everything you really want in it. So if you're looking for another pasta salad to add to your grilling menu, this is the one, Pasta Primavera Salad. It's delicious. It has a lot of great ingredients that are very simple to find or maybe even grown in your backyard. And it also utilizes all of our favorite flavors and fresh textures that come with the season. As always, like, share, subscribe. And if you want to find the full recipe with a printout, make sure to visit my website, wyseguide.com. I hope you enjoy this with all your other grilling recipes this summer.